black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all. I'm blickety black, blacker than black, black, I'm blacker than black, yo, because I'm black and I'm black. Yo, I'm black and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black.
Hey guys, my name is Alanya South, and this is For the Love of Books, TBR edition, to be read. Hey guys, so if you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you're just returning, come on back. This channel is a review channel for books from anywhere from science fiction fantasy to children's picture books. Yes, children's picture books, because I do want to be able to give out some great recommendation for children's books, YA novels, chapter books, for those parents who want to get into the habit of getting their kids into the habit of reading books again, other than what they're just given in school. So stay tuned for those videos, and let's get started, shall we?
Onset of that, they allow you to play and they say, okay, now you catch up. Now at this point, the only way you're going to catch up in the game is if the person shares the wealth, correct? But what if every time you share the wealth, then there's psychological warfare against you to say, oh, you're an equal opportunity hire. So if I played 400 rounds of Monopoly with you and I had to play and give you every dime that I made, and then for 50 years, every time that I played, if you didn't like what I did, you got to burn it like they did in Tulsa and like they did in Rosewood, how can you win? How can you win? You can't win. The game is fixed. So when they say, why do you burn down the community? Why do you burn down your own neighborhood? It's not ours. We don't own anything. We don't own anything.
So for one of my TBRs, I decided to do the book I Am Not Dying With You Tonight by Kimberly Jones and Gilly Segal. And these two women came together to co-author this book, and they give two point of views, one of a black girl and one of a white girl, in prejudice and racial tensions within a community. And these two characters have to rely on each other. They don't know each other, but they have to rely on each other to get through the chaos that is erupting in their city due to racial riots and civil unrest. So I chose this book because it sounded like it would be a conversation starter. And then on top of that, Kimberly Jones, which you just saw in that previous clip, she gave a speech, and it was a very profound speech, the way she gave it, explaining systemic racism. And she explained it in a way that everyone should get it. You should be able to just get it. And she did it by using the board game Monopoly. But if you haven't seen the clip or the clip in its entirety, I advise you to go check it out. Go YouTube it, Google it. If I can, I'll try and leave a link below. Overall, systemic racism, also known as institutional racism, is a never-ending, overlapping form of racism that is embedded into our social and political institutions. It is part of our education. It is part of our criminal justice system. It is part of our healthcare system, our politics, and it is just a vicious cycle of oppression that exists. And I get it. Some people, if you never lived it, then you're never gonna recite it. But it does exist, and it is there. And one of the videos I did early on this week, it was for the book, the picture book, today, The Day the Crayons Quit. So in this book, all the crayons, you know, they want to be used for different things. So they write a letter to Duncan, who is the you know, the owner of the crayon box, right? So when it got to the black crayon says, "I hate being the outline for things only to be colored in by other colors." Now this statement right here, this is the crayon that had me, because it said a lot about what's happening now, what's always happened to the black community. We are constantly on the forefront or the outline for many things. We are constantly being used, whether it's for our labor, our viewership, for votes, for our athleticism, our fashion. We are the most cultural appropriated, and we get no credit, or we get credit taken away from us. And it is usually, or we just get stuff stolen from us. But that one line said a lot. So back in the 90s, it could be late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s, when television channels were down on viewership, what they did was, in order to catch and capture the black people's votes, viewership, I should say, they would create all this content, black content, shows like The Rock, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, In the House, Living Single, whatever have you, all those shows, right? So they would get created, and they would capture our viewership, which would boost their ratings. And once they had what they needed, they canceled the shows. The shows were no longer existed. And then after a while, everything got whitewashed. You didn't see too many shows with people of color. You saw a little bit sprinkled here and there. So that's just one example of how we're constantly outlined and used only to be filled in by other colors. But I can go on forever, but I won't. Moving on. Next book up is The Alchemist. Now, The Alchemist is a book that I've been hearing about off and on for years from different people, and I never got a really good summary or idea about what the hell The Alchemist is about. So I'm taking this opportunity, me and my book club, to read The Alchemist. And from what I understand, it's about a boy who takes a journey. He meets people and he learns lessons along the way. And these lessons are also lessons that you may or may not want to apply to your life. I don't know what the book's about, but that is the next book for my TBR. Moving on. Next up is Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky by Kwame Mbalia. And this book caught my attention due to the cover art. It's just really pretty and vibrant. I just love the purples and blues of this cover art. And the fact that the character is African American. It's just something I'm not used to seeing a lot of when it comes to fantasy books, which is why I'm working on a fantasy book. I'll tell you more about that a little bit later. But for now, Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky by Kwame Mbalia. He introduces African American folk tales to Western African gods. So in Tristian's universe, these characters are real and he gets to know them, and that's all that I know because I didn't finish the book, but I did start it. and I can't wait because I feel like this is going to be one of my good reads, one of my favorite reads to read, and it's going to be up there on that list. So Tristan Strong punches a hole in the sky, The Alchemist, and I Am Not Dying With You Tonight. It's part of my TBR list. Don't forget, you can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Goodreads, Twitter, Pinterest. I'm not big on social media. I really don't like to post all that much, but I'm trying some things out. So don't forget to like and subscribe if you happen to like and subscribe. My name is Lilenya South, and this is For the Love of Books. Bye.